So we're going to take a look at some of your data collection techniques that you can use to get the data that you want to get access to whenever you're out doing your fieldwork. And the first one that we're going to look at is questionnaires. Let's quickly note what it says in the spec about this. Collect primary data from physical and human environments using equipment, surveys and questionnaires, and it's particularly the questionnaires that we're looking at here. Now this first section of your notes is reasonably straightforward. I'm going to let you work through that yourselves, and I'm going to bring in this little section here looking at questionnaire design. The first thing that we look at is the structure or order or sequence of the questions that you're going to be asking. There's a particular sequence that is worthwhile thinking about whenever you're doing this kind of data collection. And the first one is, what questions are you going to put at the start of the questionnaire? These questions should be straightforward because your questionnaires are voluntary and people tend to be quite skeptical about somebody with a clipboard conducting a questionnaire. So you want to try and make sure that they feel not threatened, not overwhelmed, and they're more likely to stay with you then and complete the questionnaire. They should also be non-threatening. Put people at their ease. So personal questions tend to be better placed later on in the questionnaire. Start off with things that are less threatening for people. Get them started in the questionnaire. They're more likely to stick with you and all the way to the end. So there's personal questions. What do they include? Things like age, occupation or salary. They're put towards the end. Generally speaking, whenever somebody has started doing a questionnaire with you, they will continue to finish. They'll not want to let you down, so leave those more personal questions for the end. Of course, when it comes to age, never ask somebody's age directly. Give them age categories like 20 to 29, 30 to 39, that kind of thing. Never ask somebody's income. How much do you earn? Ask the occupation of the main breadwinner or in the house, and then you can get an estimation from that about what salary they might be on. In terms of your overall questionnaire structure, it needs to be well organised, clear sections, instructions, so that it is as short and as straightforward as possible. So that's your questionnaire structure, the order sequencing of things that you're putting down. Let's move on to the second one, which is your question type. Let's see if I can get this to highlight for me so you can see what I'm looking at. And why is that not doing? Well, you can see up at the top there, question type. So there are three main types of questions that you're going to ask here. Open questions, the first one. Closed questions here, and then something called Likert scales. We'll come to those in a moment. So your open questions are questions that do not provide the respondent with a predetermined range of answers. They do not provide this. You're asking them whatever it is you want. What are your views on the location of an incinerator close to your home? Is an open question. There's no predetermined set of answers with that one. The main advantages of this is it allows the respondents to express their own opinion because opinions may be subtle, they may be slightly different from each other. So the people are able to say exactly what they think. They do not have to select from a set of predetermined answers. They may feel that that curtails their opinion. It may not actually reflect their opinion, so it gives you all of that freedom. The big disadvantage of this is that it is harder for the research to classify for analysis because people will choose different words to express different ideas. So they may use different phrases but mean more or less the same thing. So you, as the questionnaire analyzer, you've then got to decide this different wording. Is that kind of saying the same thing? Does that go in the same kind of group and same kind of category? Which is both difficult and it is subjective. Somebody else doing it may come up with a different classification. So they're harder to classify. Better to get the subtleties of opinions, harder, much more time consuming to classify. So the other type of question then to address that problem is the closed questions. They do provide the respondent with a predetermined range of answers. Are you in favour of locating the incinerator close to your home? Yes, no, not sure, that kind of thing. The advantages, far, far less time consuming for the respondent to complete, ticking some boxes. That's much, much quicker for them than writing down some things or even just verbally saying them and you writing them down. The answers are already classified, so your analysis afterwards is relatively straightforward because they're already put into groups. People have already decided which category they'll fit into, so you don't need to have this challenge up here with the open questions of this being hard to classify for analysis. Sound great, don't they? Well, they do have the disadvantages of they're restrictive and inflexible. They will not allow the respondent to offer their own views. So somebody might say, if you ask them, are you in favour of placing the incinerator next to your home, yes or no? You might have a whole bunch of people say no, but they may say no for a whole bunch of different reasons. And you haven't given them a chance to express their reasons and to tell you what they really think on that one. So there are pros and cons of both. Some are suitable in some contexts. Sometimes it's better to have closed questions. In other contexts, it's better to have open questions. Sometimes it's good to have a mixture of both. Right, the Likert scale type questions. These are the types of questions that give you a predetermined continuum. Now this isn't highlighting again, let me try this, there you go. Predetermined continuum to rank their attitude. So, to what extent do you agree with the following statement? Incinerators should never be located close to homes. Strongly agree, agree, not sure, disagree, strongly disagree. That is your Likert scale. Now, this type of question provides an attitude continuum, so it gives an insight to the intensity or strength of somebody's opinion. Right? So you're going beyond just the simple yes or no, and you're beginning to get a little bit more insight into what they are saying. This makes the compilation of data and results quite easy because they're more like closed questions than open questions. The choices are outlined, allows for quantification of the data. You can add it all up together in different categories and you can graph it quickly and easily. The limitations, the statements are predetermined, and again, there's no scope for visitors to express individual views, which you will do in an open-ended question. And they may find the discrete response categories too constrictive. One response may be not appropriate for their views. Their views may be broader and more nuanced than that. So again, with the Likert scale, pros and cons. Next up, questionnaire length. This is pretty easy. Keep it as short as possible, especially street surveys. Slightly longer if you're doing door-to-door, but as short as possible. Question wording. Leading questions are always a bad idea, are they not? Is an example of a leading question. It's one that leads the respondents towards a particular response. So avoid the inclusion of leading questions. Keep the questions neutral rather than leading. And avoid the inclusion of excessive, verbose and complex phraseology. You want to keep this as accessible as possible. Find simple, straightforward ways of saying things rather than big, wordy, poncy ways, all right? And related to that, you've got your geographical terminology. Do not assume the respondents will have the geographical knowledge or understanding. So if you want to do a questionnaire survey with them about gentrification, don't use the term gentrification because they may not know what it means. They may have heard of it before, but not be able to define it. They may not even have heard of it before. So unlike every other context in geography where we're encouraging you to use geographical terminology as much as you can, in this case, because it's being given to the lay people and the non-experts, you're using terminology, or you're using as straightforward language as you possibly can. So that's basically the key points there in terms of questionnaire design. Think about the structure, think about the question type, open, close, or Likert. Think about the length and think about the question wording.